Hello everybody, welcome to the Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan, as ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome to what is episode 7 of our AVDZeroToHero series. I'm joined as always by Simon Lee. Hello Simon.
Hi Shabazz, how are we?
Not bad, Mr. Cloud Family Community Champion, congratulations.
I know, thank you very much. It's been a good start to July, that has. Definitely.
Excellent. For those that aren't aware, Simon was awarded the Community Cloud Champion for, was it June or July?
July.
July. So, yeah, if you've not already checked that out, take a look on Simon's socials and you'll see his picture with the.
Yeah.
You got a little badge as well, I think, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. There's just a whole load of like a little bio on Simon and what he did. So do check that out. I'll put the link in the description, obviously. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is episode 7. So this is we've been waiting for this episode for a while, haven't we, Simon? This is where we're finally going to deploy. We've done some hands-on stuff already, but very kind of Azure infrastructure. We're going to start deploying Hostpools today. So before we get started, Simon, just want to do a quick shout out and thank you to the sponsor of this video and the whole series, PolicyPak. So a massive thank you to our sponsor for this video series, PolicyPak. PolicyPak is a modern desktop management platform for the anywhere workforce. PolicyPak provides a powerful policy creation, management and deployment framework that extends the policy management, security, automation and reporting capabilities found within Windows Active Directory, Unified Endpoint Management Solutions, MDM providers, virtualization platforms and cloud services. PolicyPak comes with packs, each with its own set of customizable policies that enables IT and teams to solve today's most significant desktop management challenges like remote work, Windows 10 management, GPO sprawl, ransomware, group policy management and more. PolicyPak lowers IT costs, increases security, improves compliance, reduces GPOs and puts the IT admin back in charge. PolicyPak has hundreds of customers, over 1 million deployed seats, is an Inc. 5000 recognised company and a G2 crowd high performer. For more information, visit www.policypak.com and follow them on their Twitter page @PolicyPak. Before we get to that, mate, unfortunately there is a little bit more theory.
Always going to start with a theory.
Yeah,
Best place.
You're not getting so just want to quickly go through a few slides and then we'll move on to the portal. So as always, this is myself and Simon, episode 7, and we're deploying Hostpools. What I just wanted to go through, Simon, is a bit of theory with you around AVD Hostpools. So just so you understand what it is we're actually deploying. So there are 2 types of Hostpools that you can have. A Hostpool is essentially a collection. So if you think of RDS on premises, you had desktop collections and you had app collections, and it's the same in AVD. You've got Hostpools that are for desktop, and you've got remote app Hostpools. But there are 2 different types of Hostpools that you can have, as I mentioned. And I mentioned about what is a Hostpool. I've already explained that. It's essentially a collection. And the 2 types of Hostpools we have are pooled or personal. So I'll quickly explain what both of these are, and then there's another little bit on the pooled side I want to explain as well. So pooled Hostpools are essentially a group of virtual machines that are shared out, so the resources are all shared out. So if you think about, if you have a pooled Hostpool with 10 VMs, when users log in, they will kind of round robin connected to each one. There will be no it'll just get connected to the first one. When the next user connects, they'll connect to another one potentially, or might connect to the same one. So it's more like a round robin sort of login effect, and that's where the multi-session comes in as well. So you can have multiple people connected to a multi-session Windows 10 VM. Now there's a bit more to pooled Hostpools, which I'll go into a second, which is load balancing algorithm, but I'll touch on that in a second. A personal Hostpool is exactly what it kind of says, really. It's personal to that user, so they will be assigned a VM. So again, you could have 10 Hostpools, 10 session hosts, in a Hostpool, a personal Hostpool, and you'll have 10 people assigned one to each session host basically. So, and they will always be logged into that particular session host.
Yeah.
And again, there are use cases for in both examples, where you might have someone like a developer, a dev person, they might have a personal host pool, so they can install their specific tools and they can have their sort of all their configuration whenever they log in. Whereas you might have, if you've got maybe remote people working from home, as we had during COVID, they might have sort of your pooled host pools. So with pooled host pools, as I mentioned, there's actually two types of load balancing algorithms.
Yeah.
Breadth first or depth first. Now, what I'll do is I will explain what they are as we're going through the deployment, because actually within the portal it explains to you what each one is. So it'd be better explained coming from Microsoft than from me. So all I want you to do is touch on these little few things. So when we're actually configuring it, you actually know what they are rather than what's that. By all means, ask any questions you want, but I just wanted to cover that before we crack on. Let's get into it, mate. I'm just going to quickly switch over to the Azure portal and we'll get started with our deployment. Welcome back, Simon. Here we are in the Azure portal. As you can see, we're on the Azure Virtual Desktop Service here. So this is essentially what the dashboard for Azure Virtual Desktop looks like. Gives you an overview there. As you can see, we have the option to create a host pool in the center. And we have various documentation and help we can also get here, which is great. Big fan of Microsoft documentation, so you can see here explains how you can create your own image, which we've already done.
Yeah.
Profile containers, which we've already covered, and a cost calculator, which we haven't covered yet, but that's just the Azure calculator. And I think we actually did cover a bit of the sizing, which I suppose is similar to cost.
Yeah, we did.
So that's around the cost calculator. So what we want to do straight away, we want to create our first host pool. So for the purpose of the demo, we're just going to create a pooled host pool. So again, I can either click on here to do it, or I can go to host pools. As you can see, I've got Zilch in there. I can go to create up here, or I can create a host pool here. So I'll click on create here. And as you can see, very, very similar to what we used to when we provisioned any virtual machines or anything like that. You've got your subscription here. And your resource group at the top here, you've got all your all your elements we're going to be configuring. So let's select our resource group, the good old IT Geek RG01. Host pool name. So this can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be, again, if you remember with the storage account, that has to be globally unique, not the case here. So I will just call this IT Geek HP for host pool 01. Now, this is an interesting one. So this is location. This is a location of your metadata. Now, up until literally last week, this was not available in the UK. So at the time of this recording, so it's the 7th of July on this recording. Up until last week, this wasn't available in the UK. It is available in the UK now, which is great. But don't get this confused with where your virtual machines and your sort of infrastructure is held. It's not that. It's the metadata. It's kind of the back end sort of, again, not your physical resources, but your actual metadata for the objects. So if we just click on location, we can click on UK South, and we can put ours there. Now, validation environment. So you select this if you want to test your environment before you deploy it. Again, probably a best practice to do that, especially if you're making any changes. So you may have updated the image, and you want to update it. You want to test it before you deploy it into production. So you can click yes to that. We're not going to do that. We're just going to, for the purpose of this demo, we're just going to crack on. And now down here, the host pool type. So depending on what we select, there'll be more little selections open up shortly. So for example, if I was to click on personal, we can then do assignment type, automatic or manual. And that is just as it sounds. Automatic assignment, the service will select an available host and assign it to a user. Direct assignment, us as admins have to select a specific host to assign to a user. So if I change that to pooled, again, you can see here we've got the option of a load balancing algorithm. So let me actually select, just drop down here, we've got breadth first or depth first. So as I said, let's explain what breadth first and depth first are. as it says there, for those if you can see that, it's quite small text, but breadth first load balancing distributes new user sessions across all available session hosts in your host pool, whereas depth first load balancing distributes new user sessions to an available session host with the highest number of connections but has not reached its maximum session threshold. So like I said, you've got 10 virtual machines as your session hosts.
Yeah.
If you assign a limit, so say we assign a limit here of the maximum session limit to 5, yeah. Once it hits 5 users, it will then start logging people onto the next available session host, and so on and so forth. Now, depth first is a very good option for cost optimization if you want to keep your costs down, because essentially what you can do is you can deploy the auto scaling and all the sort of automation in the back end. Until that 5 limit threshold is hit, you can essentially keep your other session hosts in a stopped state or shut down, i.e., keeping costs down. So a lot of people tend to use depth first to keep costs down, which is exactly what it's there for. Again, I'm for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to go with breadth first. Doesn't really make a difference to our demo. I mean, we are going to test it, but it's not going to make much difference to what we're doing. So,
cool.
Okay. So then we're going to move on to the virtual machines here. So again, you can either add virtual machines now or you can add them later. So as part of the Hostpool deployment, it's not a requirement to deploy virtual machines straight away, but we are going to.
Yeah.
So again, resource group, name prefix. So the way you do your name prefix is whatever. So for again, I'll go ITG for IT. Look at the types. I'll go ITG, VDI. Okay.
Yeah.
What that'll then do is, depending on how many VMs I deploy, it'll put a dash and then a 2-digit number at the end of it. So it'll start off at 00, then 01, 02, and so on. So I'm just going to leave that as it is, and it'll put that dash in depending on how many I create. So UK South has already got that in. Again, you can change your availability options here if you want. You've got the option of availability set or availability zone. Purpose of a demo, I'm just going to leave it on the default. And I just need to select availability zone 1, 2, or 3. Now this is important because this is where we're going to get our image from. So we leave it on gallery. The options are gallery or blob storage. Blob. We don't have any storage blob provisioned in this case, so it's gallery. Now I want to click on see all images because we want to select our image now that we created back in episode, I want to say 4 potentially. My items, shared items, and there is our image that we created. So we select that. Now we want to select the VM size. Again, in our hypothetical scenario, we've already got this. We've done the discovery, we've done the POC, etc. I'm just going to go with V2MS because it's cheap and cheerful. But again, imagine in a scenario, this is exactly perfect for the customer. So number of VMs, how many VMs are we going to have? Again, depends on your sizing and your requirement. For the purpose of this demo, we're just going to go with 3.
Yeah.
And again, OS disk type, you've got the option of either premium, standard, so premium SSD, standard SSD, or standard HDD. I'm going to go with standard HDD because I'm a cheapskate mainly. But again, if it was a production environment, I would probably go premium, and I would recommend premium to the end user as well and customer.
Yeah.
I tend to leave boot diagnostics on default because it's recommended as well. So again, this is where we're going to select the network and some security. So we want to make sure it's on the same VNet as our Azure AD domain services instance, and the same subnet as well, or at least on a virtual network and subnet that can contact our domain controller, which for us is Azure AD domain services. I'll leave everything else on default, but again, depending on your requirements, you can configure these. Now, this is important as well. So, domain administrator. So this is the account that's going to domain join your VMs to your Azure domain services. So, so this is my Am IT Geek account that I'm logged in with. Now, do remember, people who are watching, that when you create your Azure AD domain services tenancy, you have to change your administrator account password before it will allow you to domain join, because the sync only cloud accounts only sync once you change their password. Okay, so you might remember that from the Azure AD kind of provision that we did. If you don't, check that video out again. But please remember, you have to change your domain or your global admin account, whatever account you're going to use to domain join. Make sure you change the password after provisioning Azure AD domain services. So I've already done that. Now this is a local administrator account we need to add. So again, I'll just put some at basic. And then we go to next. So this is the workspace. So as I mentioned in the, I think it was one of the previous. We've done so many now. I keep on forgetting which video is which. But as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, if you want to register your desktop app group and your remote app groups, you have to create a workspace for your application groups.
Yeah.
So we have to create one as part of this because we want to deploy our desktop app. So here I'll create a new one. ITG WS workspace 01 and okay that. And here we can put our tags if we want. Again, you could put anything, department, value, marketing, or whatever. Again, depends on what your use case is. And then we're going to go to review and create. So hopefully the validation's passed, marvelous. And now what we'll do is we'll click on create, and then this will probably take about 15-20 minutes to create. Once it's created, we'll come back to it, and we will actually we'll actually take a look in the portal, and we'll actually just try logging in. Okay, Simon?
Cool. Yeah, sounds great.
Have you any questions yet about this? It's pretty straightforward.
No, I think this is as you've just walked through. It's all pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think it's like you said, from like a production point, you sort of sit down with the client and just work out the variables with them for best usage and best case scenarios. So no, all good.
Excellent. So I'm going to click on create, and then we'll come back to this once it's done. Here we are, Simon. We are back, and that deployment is now successfully complete.
Yeah.
So I think it took around 20 minutes, as I mentioned, which is about right. So let's actually go to the resource. Let's have a look at what we'll do is have a look at the portal and just look at some of our overview of our configuration.
Yeah.
And then some of the tasks that we can complete. And then what I'd like to do is just do actually log in with a user to just show you the sort of user experience. And what we can do is actually we'll assign our test user permissions as well. So here we are. This is an overview of what we've deployed. As you can see here, it tells us the resource group location, the size, the disk type, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now here you notice there's something called registration key. Now, when you want to deploy additional virtual machines or additional session hosts, or you want to replace a session host, you need this registration key. So you'd essentially click on there, and you generate this essentially. Once you've generated that, it allows you to import or add more session hosts. So you generate a new key and you download it. So and that's all you need to do. You don't need to actually import it anywhere. Again, it tells you here the number of virtual machines we've got, if any of them are unavailable or not, number of application groups, and number of applications. So your standard stuff here, the access control IAM stuff, the tags and diagnosis stuff. Here, if we go to RDP properties, again, very similar to on-premises RDS. Sorry, I can just imagine Chris Pottrell watching this and shuddering when I mention RDS. But as you can see here, we've got RDP connections, alternate shell, session behavior, reconnection, bandwidth auto detect, network auto detect. Very similar to the sort of configurations you could customize with RDS on premises. Device redirection, all this good stuff about video encoding and audio output location, USB device redirection, camera redirection. Again, very important for environments where you deploy teams. Clipboard, printer redirections, USB directions, all that stuff you can do all through the portal. Traditionally, it was all PowerShell, so thank you, Microsoft, for putting it in here. And obviously, there's tools like, again, I'm going to give them another shout out because they are amazing, but Nerdio, they've got a whole package around, can do all this as well, but this is, again, all the native options, and here we have the display settings.
Yeah.
Very granular configuration to where your desktop size as well. You can configure that. So really quite granular. And here's where you can do some actual properties. We've said drive, store direct. So this is where you redirect smart cards or audio, microphones, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, just going down to properties, it gives us loads of information there that you might need, subscription ID, stuff like that. Let's look at application group. So this is where we see our actual application group. So it automatically generates this when you create your session host and you actually deploy VMs. So it's basically got the host pool name -DAG, which is like your availability group essentially. And because we've deployed virtual machines, it's a desktop application group. It says desktop. Now what we'll do is in the next episode, when we deploy some applications, some remote apps, the correct phrase or correct terminology is remote app. When we deploy some remote apps, we will see remote app application group type there. So as I mentioned, there's different types of application groups.
Yeah.
Now one thing there, we haven't done an assignment to anybody, so let's do that now. So let's click on the actual group there. Click on assignments. There's no one here, so let's add our test user. So Bruce Wayne, yes, I do like comic books. Batman is my favorite hero. So Bruce Wayne will have access.
Yeah.
And that's who we're actually going to test the login with shortly.
So from like a production standpoint then, could you use like dynamic Azure AD groups for the assignments based on, say, departments or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so rather than adding individual users, you can add groups. So as you see there, there's groups or users if you wanted.
Yeah.
There's groups and users. So if you go with best practice, it's normally better to do it with groups, especially when you've got different workloads. So that's a really good question, Simon. So when you've got different workloads, like you said, you might have an admin workload, you might have an architect's workload, you might have a dev workload. Making sure you assign those groups to the relevant application group. Yeah. Is very important. For the demo, I'm just doing one user, but yes, you can do dynamic groups.
Cool.
And all that jazz. Okay. So let's go back to the host pool. This is our MSIX packages. We are going to touch on this in the next episode, so I don't want to ruin the surprise there. Session host, we see our 3 session hosts, and as I mentioned, they put a dash in a number. I apologise, I actually said it was a 2-digit number. It's a 1-digit number. Obviously, if we get into more than 10 VMs, it will have double digits. So again, just some of the options you can do here. You can actually, if we just click on it, it'll tell us which users are logged in.
Okay.
And then what we can do is we have the option of removing the session host. We can actually send a message to users, or if there's any users that are logged in and disconnected, we can log them off as well. Now you probably notice if I go one step back, you notice something called, not one step, that's 2 steps. So we'll go back into application groups. And if I go into my session hosts, where's it gone? There it is, sorry for clicking around. So we're back into here. You notice drain mode there?
Yeah.
So if you could highlight them all if you wanted and turn on drain mode. That is equivalent to traditional RDS where you could stop users from logging in. So if you're doing patching or updates, you would essentially turn drain mode on and they can no longer log into that VM.
Yeah.
Now, any existing users will stay logged in until
they log out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is great. This is exactly what you use for when you're updating the image. So say you update the image and you have 3 new virtual machines down here with so you'd have -3, -4, -5 with the new image on. Before you before you add those in, you would enable drain mode so people stop logging in. Obviously, you'd notify your users, so there's between this amount of time, don't log in. It only takes about 10 minutes for the new VMs to be provisioned, so it's really quick. And then essentially you say, right, new users can log in again. They start logging in, they log into the new ones. Eventually, when this is empty like it is now, you remove each session host from the from the host pool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, again, diagnostics and monitoring down here. So what we'll do now, Simon, I've got a virtual machine that has the remote desktop app on it.
Yeah.
Let's jump onto that. Let's actually test a user login in, all right?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Simon, here we are now. We're in my virtual machine, and
Yeah.
what I've got is I've downloaded the remote desktop app. So if you, again, I'll put the link in the description of the video, but you can
Sure.
download this application, 64-bit, 32-bit for Windows. You can download it for iOS, Mac OS X, and you can actually download it for Android as well.
Yeah.
So it's available on more than one OS. So whichever one you want to use it on, by all means, use it and download it. So we can either subscribe with the URL or we can subscribe and log in. So if we click on there, so we're going to log in with our good friend Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing is, Simon, at the moment we're just logging in just to show the sort of user interface. When we get to the security episode, which I believe is going to be episode 9 or 10, might be 10, we will actually implement MFA. So we'll show that in practice as well. We'll show the MFA piece in practice. But for now, this has got no MFA.
Sure. So from like a licensing standpoint, then what does Bruce need to be able to log into Azure AD? Not Azure AD, sorry. Azure Virtual Desktop.
Yeah, no, good question, mate. So essentially, you need to have a subscription or license that has the Windows 10 with it. So that again, from a subscription point of view, you've got the first one that comes with it, I believe, is Microsoft 365 Business Premium.
Okay.
Microsoft 365 E3 or Microsoft 365 E5. You can get a Windows 10 add-on on its own.
Yeah.
But yeah, you tend to go with business premium. Microsoft M365 Business Premium is the first one it comes with. In our case, for our demo tenant, we have a Microsoft 365 Business Premium.
Cool.
So Bruce is assigned one of those. So click on next. We need to have Bruce's password. Robin sucks. No, we're joking. Click next. Now, this is quite standard because of the whole Intune integration that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's essentially trying to, well, this is actually Azure AD integration. I do apologise. It's trying to add our device to Azure AD.
Yeah.
Now, depending on your organisation's kind of policies, etc., if again, during the pandemic, a lot of people were doing this from their personal devices. You can click on no, just sign into this app, and it'll just sign you in. It won't add your device to Azure AD. So please be wary of that. Let's untick that. I've done many deployments where that's caught a lot of people out, no matter how many instructions you send. So this is essentially, Simon, this is equivalent. Now you see that desktop app there.
Yeah.
This is equivalent to RDS Web Access.
Yeah, I was about to say it looks kind of familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we are using an application. So
Yeah.
now this is where you would think single sign-on comes in. At the moment, as we're recording this, single sign-on is only available with ADFS deployments. Now, it's not recommended to deploy ADFS specifically for this. If you already have an ADFS infrastructure in place for other needs, then obviously do the integration. Azure AD single sign-on is on the roadmap, as is Azure AD join at this present time. It's on the roadmap. And it might even be in preview, but anyway, so when we double click this, we do have to log in again.
Okay.
So that'll be this one. And then what we will hopefully eventually get is a normal RDP session.
Mm-hmm.
And that logs us in. We've got our applications. We can start working. Okay, so we are logged into our AVD session.
Yeah.
We can start working. We can, as we would normally. Okay. It's a bit of a smaller VM, which is why it's running a bit slower. It's logging me on for the first time as well. So
it always takes longer.
That profile container.
Yep.
So as a review, we go back to when we created the created the image. Remember, we had Adobe Reader. We also had 7-Zip, which is there. And we had the Office apps as well, OneNote, PowerPoint, all that sort of stuff. And then again, when they're not using it, they just disconnect or sign out. Obviously, it's recommended to sign out. Simon, just before we finish this episode 7, now's a good time to mention that we are having a competition. We mentioned it in one of the first episodes. So we actually have a giveaway. We have 10 t-shirts, which are hopefully going to be with us next week, so I can look out for the social media posts for all them. So there's 10 t-shirts, and they will have the IT Geek logo on the front with hashtag AVDZeroToHero, and they'll have hashtag Am IT Geek on the back. But like most things, it's a competition. Can't be just giving them away without you earning it.
Yeah.
So there are a few things you'll have to do before you can win a t-shirt. Obviously, I can imagine there might be more than 10 people. I hope there's more than 10 people that do this. So we will pick at random 10 people. But what you have to, again, I will explain this in the description as well, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. But what you're going to have to do is you have to be a subscriber, first of all. That's very important. You have to be a subscriber to the channel. You then have to comment on your favourite episode with the hashtag AVDZeroToHero. So on your favourite video, put that hashtag comment. And then finally, on your social media, be it LinkedIn or be it Twitter, you have to share your favourite video. And again, comment on the actual social media post. Just use the hashtag AVDZeroToHero. So those 3 things. And again, we will choose at random the 10 people, and then they will win t-shirts. And again, as soon as the t-shirts arrive, we will let them know. Myself and Simon will be modelling them.
Definitely.
It's been such a massive success, Simon. The series so far, the support from everyone. Really,
it's been brilliant.
Yeah, the
really
AVD
has.
community, the Cloud family, and just in general, it's been great. So I thought it'd be nice to do a little giveaway just to make it, a bit more fun. So yeah, do keep an eye out, everybody, for the social media posting for that. And yeah, that's it really, Simon. Just wanted to mention the competition that we've got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. So Simon, that is essentially we've deployed Azure Virtual Desktop.
Cool.
We've deployed the sort of the underlying infrastructure. We've deployed the profile containers with FSLogix. We then created our image, and then we have deployed our session host and Hostpools. So it's not the end of the series, though. It's the end of this episode, unfortunately. It's not the end of the series. We have 3 more episodes left. So in the next episode, we're going to add on to our session desktop. We're going to actually deploy some applications.
Yeah.
So that'll be in episode 8. Do you have any more questions that you wanted to?
No, I think it's been a pretty straightforward episode. It's basically like deploying on RDS from like an on-prem perspective, but just in Azure. So everything that we sort of touched on, coming from the on-premise background that I've got, I can all relate to, and it all makes sense.
Excellent.
It's just, as we've said, it's just hosted by Microsoft.
Exactly. It's just a management interface. All the principles and the sort of back-end theory are all the same, really, in a lot of instances. A lot of the technologies that you use, i.e. FSLogix, you use that with RDS as well. So again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for your support. As I said, thank you to the AVD community, the cloud community. People like John Lund who are always giving us a shout out. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've still got episode 8, 9, and 10 to come. And yeah, again, thank you for the support. Just if you don't keep on liking the videos, keep on sharing them, keep on giving us your comments and your feedback, and please don't forget to subscribe. But yeah, thank you very much, Simon, and from me anyway.
Thanks, Shabazz.
Yeah, from me, thank you, and until next time, goodbye.
See you later.